Let's face it, this year has kinda sucked when it comes to Switch 2 stuff. Nintendo has been mainly quiet on the topic and actually have only come out just because their backs were against the wall at certain times, like the first investors meeting of this year where they didn't really have anything to show and they didn't even have a general direct in the beginning of the year, so they were forced to not only announce a Nintendo Direct happening in June, but also announce the fact that yeah, Switch 2 was indeed a thing and would be revealed within the fiscal year. But from May, fast forward all the way to now, the month in November, Nintendo still hasn't really said anything about the console, but they did have a second investors meeting and they felt they needed to announce something else without diving too deep. So they announced Nintendo Switch 2 would indeed be backwards compatible with Nintendo Switch. Now a lot of us thought this would have to be the case with all of these Switch 1 games still coming out with Switch 2 right on the horizon, but it feels really good to actually hear it from the mouths of Nintendo. But it's not these things that confuse me, it's what Furukawa had to say in an interview. He was asked about holiday sales and if he believed if they talked about Switch 2, would it affect the holiday sales negatively, and is that one of the reasons that they haven't really talked about it? And he states, I can't say it doesn't exist at all, but the Switch is already in its 8th year since launch. I don't think the presence or absence of a successor will have much impact on customers who are purchasing it at this time. This was very strange to me, and it makes me question a lot of things. So clearly, Nintendo doesn't really see there being a problem with Switch 2 talk happening right now, even with it being holiday season. They don't think it's going to affect sales all too differently. I just find that hard to believe because a lot of us felt the same way. I did for a while. I said, I don't think people are going to care. If they reveal Switch 2, they'll just be excited about the console next year and still have tons of games to play this year if they want to as well. And all they would have to say is you can play these Switch 1 games on Switch 2. Just say that there's going to be backwards compatibility and people will still be very excited about Switch 2 and still be purchasing games for Switch 1. The console's already 8 years old. Who cares at this point? And you know, Nintendo essentially said, yeah, they have the same mindset as I did and a lot of people did for a while. But if they have that mindset, then the biggest question is, how come they haven't revealed the console then? They have had so many opportunities to reveal this thing, and a lot of people just felt in their hearts that it wasn't in Nintendo's slate because they wanted to end the year strong with their Switch 1 games, which they had, and they are officially out now. With Mario & Luigi Brothership coming out just about a week ago, they are completely done. So if they weren't worried about this, why didn't they announce the Switch? There were so many openings. I mean, September was completely empty. They moved all those presentations, remember, at the end of August. October was completely empty, and absolutely nothing happened. November so far has been completely empty and nothing's happened. So what's going on? Why are they waiting so long? Well, some people might read this and now say there's now a potential for Nintendo to do something still this holiday season. Where a lot of people closed the door, Nintendo said we're not closing the door on this year yet. There's still a potential, but I'm absolutely closing the door. Like, I'd slam the door shut. I have no faith that something's happening for the rest of this year. It could, in theory, with Nintendo saying this, and now with all their games out of the way, they do have the whole end of November and even beginning of December if they wanted to do something crazy, but I absolutely do not think it's happening. I think another big indicator is that Nintendo's coming out and telling us things. It would just be strange to me mentally if Nintendo just had an investors meeting, literally this month still, and they told investors that they would still announce the thing within the fiscal year, and then turn around 2 weeks later to announce the thing. It would just kind of look bad in my opinion, and also considering the fact that they did come out and give us some information that was pretty big information. Telling everybody that Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible isn't just a sleaze of an announcement. I mean, I know a lot of us believed it was happening, but it's a pretty big deal to Switch 1 owners and people buying Switch 1 games, and has been one of the biggest questions regarding the console. Maybe Nintendo doesn't see it as big of a deal than we do, but yeah, I feel like that's a big announcement, and that's something that could have been a huge thing for an actual Switch 2 reveal. Just showing like everybody saying, hey, you can also play Switch 1 games, and then showing people play older games and maybe they look even better and run even better on Switch 2. But the fact that they said it is weird to me, and it tells me that, yeah, this was just like your rest of the information that you're going to get for this year, that there's nothing happening until next year. And I just wish Nintendo would have just came out and said it. Wouldn't it have been better if Nintendo just closed the gap a lot more and actually set expectations right and said, hey, we will talk about Switch 2 in January or February or even March, or literally if they just said, expect Switch 2 information next year, in the beginning of next year, before the end of the fiscal year. I think that would have set things right, But the way that they word things, it still technically leaves room for the rest of this year. It still leaves room for even the beginning of next year. We still don't know. And I just think it's weird the way Nintendo's going about this. But the fact that they announced backwards compatibility the way they did on Twitter tells me that that's your information that you're going to get for the rest of this year, that they're still waiting on next year for something. And I am 100% on Team 2025. In fact, I am 100% not even in January. We know January is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which is not going to be a huge game by any means. And then we know Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, which probably also won't be a huge game, is coming out in March. Nothing in February. February is completely empty. It just feels like a better time than January for me. I personally think we're still at the very least, 2 to 3 months away. But let's get back to the question. Why is it that Nintendo decided to just completely skip this year? Well, I don't know. To be quite honest with you, I genuinely don't know. I don't know if they wanted to just spread out some time to reveal some smaller things like the Alarmo, and then eventually reveal the Nintendo Music app, and then the play test for online. I mean, they revealed a lot of things, and just a lot of them weren't games. I mean, we just had a Nintendo Direct based on the theme park. Like, truly, Nintendo's giving us every single thing besides Switch 2. And to me, there's only one real reason why. I think it's because it's not coming when people think it's coming. I still see so many people clamoring for early 2025 and still listening to these fake insiders that are claiming that they have information, and they have been nothing but 100% wrong the entire year. I don't think anyone has information. I think Nintendo actually did a really good job and kept this console on complete lockdown, where no one has any information about it. Yes, maybe some of the specs are correct, but overall, I think we're going to be very shocked by what the console looks like. I think we're going to be shocked about when it's revealed and when it's actually going to drop. But yeah, I don't think anyone knows when it's coming, and I know a lot of people keep saying that there's all this shipping data and information out there that's suggesting that it has to be at the beginning of next year because production is getting ready to start. I've been hearing about production getting ready to start for the last year. I don't believe anything anymore, and in fact, until Nintendo says anything, I don't want to hear another rumor. And I know this console is going to be essentially just a new Switch. It's going to probably be just like what we've been calling it, the Switch 2. Nintendo even said it's going to, not try to stray away from the series of Nintendo Switch. So that's what we're probably going to expect. And with that, yes, Nintendo doesn't need a huge super gap between reveal and release, but I still think they're going to at least have a 5 to 6 month gap, because it's a brand new console. Plus, a lot of people are forgetting we need a game. They're not going to reveal this thing and have no games for it. And they're going to want to reveal games early. They're not going to show off a brand new Mario Kart and give us 2 months of hype until it comes out. They're not going to show off a brand new 3D Mario game and say it's coming out in 3 months. I mean, that's almost like brain dead to do with something so huge. You want to hype it up. You want to reveal it so everyone can see it. Yes, of course, Nintendo fans are going to buy it no matter what, but you want everyone to buy it. You want it to have a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe treatment where non-Nintendo fans are buying up the game. So I'm sorry, unless Nintendo has something up their sleeves for the rest of this month or maybe even December at some time, I don't see Switch 2 launching anytime near the beginning of the year next year. I see it being around summer or even a holiday, which is painful to say, but it's definitely the truth. And I think that is the reason why Nintendo's waiting so long to reveal this thing. If this thing was coming out at the beginning of next year, we 100% would have seen it already. That's just my take, and that's just how I feel on it. And why in the world are we waiting so long for this console? Well, I think it's also due to video games. I think the fact that Nintendo actually didn't know when they wanted to reveal this thing and when they wanted it to actually release. I mean, I'm even to the mindset where maybe they still don't know. Maybe they just recently figured it out, because I think originally they made that huge gap from this fiscal year because they didn't know when it was actually going to be revealed. They didn't know, how the market was going to be. They didn't know what was going to be coming out. They didn't know what games that they wanted to put out probably at the time. I think it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing just to get a generalization as to when their time frame starts, because it also looked like they were gearing up and getting ready for a reveal of this thing. There were so many situations this year it looked like Nintendo was getting ready. With a partner direct to start the year and all the rumors suggesting March until something apparently went wrong internally, then the same thing just happened where it looked like something was gearing up for September or of October, when Nintendo actually decided to have everything pushed to the end of August and just had 2 empty months for no reason. So it's impossible to say. Honestly, I don't know. It looks like there was a whole bunch of times where they wanted to reveal something, and then at the last second, they pulled back. And there were some rumors, which this is the only rumor I think I actually do believe at this point. I think it's game-based. I think there were some games at Nintendo that just weren't ready, and they had to push everything back. I think the console has been ready. I mean, if it is just a more powerful, better version of Nintendo Switch, what else would take so long? It has to be the games, in my opinion. To me, it just makes a lot of sense that maybe the next 3D Mario still needed some time. Maybe the next Mario Kart still needed some time. Maybe Metroid Prime 4 still needed some time. And tons of other games as well, where they wanted to have a very powerful first year. Remember, Switch's first year is probably part of the reason why it was so successful. There was so much to play, so many huge AAA titles in the first year of the console, and they're probably going to want to do something very similar. Considering the fact that we're probably not going to be seeing another Zelda anytime soon, it's probably all on Mario. Whether it be 3D Mario, Mario Kart, Luigi's Mansion 4, whatever else they got, it's probably all on Mario. And the team probably needed a little bit more time and a little bit more time and a little bit more time because they know this console is reliant on a huge first-party game. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think down below. Personally, I was really thrown off by Nintendo's comments because I thought they were along the mindset of, yeah, they were afraid that their holiday sales were going to be butchered with the talk of Switch 2, but apparently they don't think it's going to have any impact either way. So why didn't they just reveal the console? I don't know. That's just completely up to Nintendo at this point. But let me know, how are you feeling with the console right now? Are you just kind of shut off from it and just waiting for next year? Or are you still one of the few grasping and reaching for something this year still? Let me know down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.